Okay, let's take a look at sidewalks and roads. As you can see, I've got my buildings laid out. I've started adding doors and windows, and even labeled one of them. But let's look at roads and sidewalks. Okay, if you are a 7th grader, you're going to have to add both. If you are an 8th grader, it's highly recommended, or if you are a 6th grader, excuse me, it is highly recommended that you do add both of these two items, but it is not required that you get both of them. So, if I want to add a sidewalk around my buildings, now most of mine are fairly lined up, so I can make a sidewalk that just kind of connects all the way around. What I would want to do is line up with my vanishing point the parts that are not going to be running horizontally. So, if I want to make sure that my sidewalk looks like it comes from around behind my Reading Railroad bookstore, then I'm going to line up with my vanishing point, and I'm going to come down towards the bottom of my building here. Move that up towards the bottom of my building, and I'm going to draw a line diagonally going out. Okay, now I want to make sure that it sticks out away from my building so that way I can turn my building, so that way I can turn my sidewalk. So now I'm going to make the sidewalk in front of the Reading Railroad bookstore. So line it up with where I left off, and right in front. I want to show that this goes all the way around and that you can walk back in here, back behind. So I'm going to come away from my building, and then I'm going to angle it again towards my vanishing point. Yep, I'm going to get it lined up here. And go back behind. So that way it looks like the sidewalk goes completely around the Reading Railroad bookstore. Well, guess what? It also comes around this building here in the middle that doesn't have a name. So I can, if I want to leave a space, like let's say that there is maybe an alleyway in between, I would have to shorten this one up just a little bit so that way there was space to leave some in between. So I would go like this. I would go like this. I would erase this extra right here. Okay, and then I would do the same thing with this building that I had done with the Reading Railroad bookstore. Line it up, bring it from behind, like that, make it parallel, as parallel as I can, around the front, and then these two buildings are fairly close together. So I think I'll just run the sidewalk right up to this building like this. And then I'm going to make sidewalk in front of this building like this. Come out from away from that building so that way I can turn it, make it go back up towards the vanishing point. So it's running along that side of that building. There we go. And then I will run it back behind the building so it looks like it goes around. Okay? So now I have sidewalk around 3 of my 4 buildings. Okay? It's not hard. Basically, you're tracing around the lower portion of the buildings, but you're using your ruler so that way you have it nice and straight. Okay? So now let's look at roads. If you're a 6th grader, you only need 1 road. If you're a 7th grader, you need 2. Does that mean you have to have 2? Well, if you want full points, you do. Could you have more than that? Most definitely. So let's look here. I have, with 1 point perspective, I can run a road that is horizontal right across the bottom of my paper, or I can use my vanishing point. So let's see here. If I'm going to use my vanishing point, because let's face it, that's the harder way to add a road, I would start with my vanishing point. I'm going to add a road right here in between my group of 3 buildings and my singular building that's off at the side. I'm going to come from where my horizon line is because, well, that's where the ground ends. And I'm going to bring it down towards the bottom of my paper. Okay? I'm going to do so. I've got part of my road. I want to line back up with my vanishing point. Okay. And I want to bring it down again. Because I have to remember that there's sidewalk here, so, or there could potentially be sidewalk there. So there's part of my road, so I've got one road. If that was the only road, I would probably run it clear through to the bottom of my paper. But it's not. I'm going to add another road. I'm going to add a road here, running horizontally. I think I'm going to move it up a little. Well, nope. We'll add a road here horizontally, across my paper. Okay, now I could obviously add more details to make this a road. I could divide this in two if I wanted to and say, hey, there's 2 lanes of traffic going this way and there's 2 lanes of traffic going this way. I could do lots of that. I have a big open space right here. Maybe I want to turn that into a parking lot. Maybe I just want to leave it as is and it's some open space. Maybe there's a little park area here. Maybe there's a bench and maybe there's a little tree, or there's just maybe a little nice relaxing area here in the middle of the city. You never know. You'll have to think, what can I put here? What can I do here? That's your choice. This is your city. So those are the main components to being able to do one-point perspective and make a cityscape. I've shown you how to draw the buildings. I've shown you how to add doors and windows. I've shown you how to label it. I've shown you how to add sidewalks and roads. So you should be set to do everything that you need to get a good grade on your project.